right, here we go. Go time. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
It's on.
It is a game night tonight.
I needed the hockey to get me going tonight because for the first time in my life coming into work today, I got car shamed by both of you guys.
That is.
I gave Noodles a little honk and a wave, and he looked and he pointed at my rental car, and it was kind of like, it's a crap car.
Well,
and then I had to meet you to drop something off, and you looked and you just started laughing.
That's not entirely true.
It's
I was caught off
100%
guard.
true.
It's probably 99% true.
Yeah.
More so because of
I was caught off guard.
I've seen you drive in here with a Ferrari and say, "Come out, we're going for a spin."
Right.
This is the other end of
He was driving his golf cart. Do you remember that car you used to have?
It is still in our possession, the golf cart.
You
It is
still
parked.
have that car?
It is still kicking around. Yes,
But dude,
it is still
was
around.
like the belly laugh I thought was unnecessary. It was kind of like, hey, I thought you would have been manly about it. Yeah, that's tough luck with the car, but you were like,
Well, I didn't mean to do it that. I wasn't meaning to express it in that nature. I wasn't.
yeah, it was.
I
both
wasn't
laughs.
ready for it.
Both you guys looked
I
at
wasn't
me and
ready
said,
for it.
"Look at this giant human in this little car."
No,
And
it is.
It's a smaller car.
It is a smaller car.
It's a compact.
There used to be a show called Harry and the Hendersons. Remember they put the guy on the roof?
Yes.
They put Harry on the roof. The guy was too big. Like you rolled in, I'm like, his head could have been out the sunroof.
That's
Like, it
the
was like-
thing. It was you were peering. You looked as if like you were uncomfortable in there, and I think that's what it was. It wasn't so much the car; it was that it didn't seem, the dimensions weren't
Didn't
what I'm
fit.
used to. That's
Right.
more what it was. The dimensions.
Oh, dude, my brother said the same thing. I had to pull up to his house, and he was unaware of the theft, and he's like, "What's up with the car? You don't even fit in it." I was like, "What a jerk comment!"
Yeah.
You don't even fit in
Yeah.
that.
Don't even fit. You don't even fit. I think it's just, again, I'm used to you in certain
hey.
trucks
Well, you
and
drive
certain cars.
you drive an SUV all the time.
That's what it is.
So the SUVs we've seen you in
That's right.
are full size. The Suburban, the Range Rover, all of
This is
that. So then-
compact.
Anyway, hockey's getting
all
me out of
good.
the slumber. Hockey,
It's all
opening
good.
night.
It's all good.
yeah.
What'd you think of your boy Bedard?
I got to
last
be honest. I thought he was phenomenal last night.
Did you?
I thought he was a lot. It was a lot of fun to watch him play.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. And I thought he was comfortable. I thought Ray had a great call. Ray was saying it throughout the game. And I think, most people would have been watching that. Like he does not look overwhelmed. Like he looks like the puck's finding him and he's finding space. And
First period, he was a little
thought he
bit
looked
wobbly.
good.
He almost fell down a couple times, a little bit jumpy. And then I think he just said, screw this, man. It's still hockey. And then he just went out there.
Well-
and he started rifling that thing from everywhere.
He had 12 shot attempts last night.
That's where I was thinking. I was watching, and I thought to myself, 5 games from now, once he understands like spacing and timing and that, like he's going to be on. There were 2 times last night where I think he got a welcome to the league kind of. He got bumped along the wall. Twice he got knocked down.
Yeah, Achari gave it to him
Yeah,
once.
Achari. There's a big, strong guy, but like that's how Babcock used to say, men's strength,
Right.
all the men.
Same
feed
thing
their
at the
family.
draw, right? Like Sid just buried
Cleaned
him
him out, and
Yeah.
which is fine. But those were 2 moments where I circled and I go, once he understands everything, like he's going to be scary.
Yeah.
Like
and
scary.
Jamie, some kids, I think it takes 2 years, maybe 5 years. I think it'll take him 5
That's
games.
what I was thinking. I'm saying 5 games where this guy's going to go, I can get there, I can do this, I can do that, I can fake this. Like we're going to see some stuff where it's going to be, 97's must watch. Matthews. Like there's 5 or 6 guys that you go,
I got to watch that
I got to
guy.
watch that guy.
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Yeah, I think he'll have a game in the next 5 to 7 where it's like 2 goals, 2 assists, and
He's
watch
arrived.
himself. And
Yeah.
he does something that makes you realize how good he is.
And what an immediate impact, Hayes.
Yeah.
Last year, if they go down 2-0 like that, it might be like, we're the Blackhawks, we stink, we might just pack it in. He made the play on the 2-1 goal, and then they go ahead and they win in the third period.
It's a big start for him. It was on ESPN down there. It's him versus Sid. Like it's difficult to push Sidney Crosby off the marquee, but he was last night. Like maybe for the first time in his career, maybe the first time he played McDavid. But it was not about Sid last night, and ESPN went all in. I give them credit. I think this will challenge, the way hockey culture reacts to guys like this a little bit, because with Sid, it was like Lemieux was still around, and I don't really remember exactly how the U.S. responded to him. But with McDavid, the U.S., I don't think jumped all in because he went to Edmonton.
Right.
This kid is in Chicago. Like, he is going to be on ESPN, TNT 25 times a year.
Grow up and right in front of you.
Right. And it is going to be all about him. And I understand why some people are going to complain about it. Like, it's too much. We know too much about. That's what you have to do. You've got to promote superstars.
In big markets.
In big markets. It's been lacking for a long time in the NHL. It's been about the name on the front as opposed to on the back, where you've got to marry the two.
Yes.
Yes, you need the team to have a profile. Yes, they need to win. Within the room, he can't be a guy that's singled out, clearly.
Right.
But in terms of promotion and marketing, you got to hammer away at Connor Bedard in a massive market like Chicago.
I think that's been one of the weaknesses of the National Hockey League, is not celebrating the individually of the player. Like Arizona obviously should know Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid, but you should know a lot about everybody in the league, and the whole league should know everybody's name, not just the market. Barkov's big in Florida. Barkov should be big throughout the league. Like Bobrovsky, the star players on every team. You're right. It is a team sport, but you'd still like to see.
I understand what you guys are saying, but I think some of those markets you're talking about, it's enough for that fan base to like Steven Stamkos or Barkov.
Yes.
And that's all their interest goes. They'd be like, if you said to them, you got to find some interest in understanding who Bedard, they'd be like, screw that. I'm a Panthers fan.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I think it is very regional. I also think you need to be careful with how far you can go with this. Like, I think diehards know who Barkov is, know who Stamkos is, knows who Kaprizov is. Then there's another level where, like, the Bedard, the McDavid, the Sid, the Ovi.
The faces of the league.
Like, that's where it's got to be elevated that much more, where you do hope the person in Tampa, Carolina, Dallas, who love their team, love their players, are also aware this guy's someone that I need to know about.
Must watch.
Exactly. I got to be familiar with what that guy's up to. Because I don't think it's possible in the U.S. to expect Matty Beniers to be a guy that people are like, oh, I got to track this guy, second overall, rookie of the year. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen like throughout the whole country. It will within Seattle's market. It will within the division. I think in Canada, people are going to be familiar with him. But like Bedard's got to be on a different level. McDavid's on a different level.
People in Carolina should know.
You have to, and the only way you do that is you just hammer away at it. Like you expose it, market, and then the players got to pull their own weight.
Yeah,
and that's where Bedard, I think last night, I love no bucket in warm up. I love that he had no helmet on in warm up.
I had to pay a fine.
$2,500. I did the math on that. 2,500 times 82, $205,000. I'd love him to write a check and just send it to New York and say, all year, no bucket. There's $205,000 cash.
Yeah.
Cash that thing. I'm going no helmet every single warm-up my rookie year.
That's a boss move.
I think that's
but the next year, he's still not going to be able to wear it.
But he can he'll get a sponsorship deal for that. I guarantee you somebody would sponsor him to not wear, Head and Shoulders will sign him.
Head and Shoulders.
$205,000, we'll write that to the league.
We're happy to pay
so that you skate around with no bucket. And then what'll happen? He'll get a slap shot off the crossbar on his forehead, and then people will be yelling.
Listen, you guys talk about it all the time. Noodles, you've talked about it. Like for a goalie to go no bucket for the first lap.
I used to have
that's aggressive.
Hair. Glorious. I had a mullet. I needed that mullet to breathe. So I was out there with no bucket on.
I love it.
I remember it was like it was yesterday, first exhibition game in Nova Scotia, Hartford Whalers. And this, like, Mark Janssens was this tough guy on our fourth line. He was like a tough dude. And I said, so what's the deal? Like, you bring your helmets out and then put them on the bench? And he's like, well, the guys that don't wear their helmets and warm up, they just don't even wear them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do you think you're doing? And I said, I ain't wearing it, man. I go, I've been waiting for this for a long time. He goes, you might want to think twice about that. And I said, Janner, I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm not wearing it. I'm sorry. And I just went, I never wore it once.
Yeah.
Most glorious thing in life.
It really would be.
Guys would leave it in their stall.
Yeah.
They'd go out for 16 minutes or whatever the time back then. I think warm-up was
And I would
longer.
plead with rookies, plead with them. I would say, please, just don't wear your helmet out there.
For the first time.
Yeah.
First
And
time.
if you don't want to wear it after that, who cares? It's just, I thought that was like a part of the uniform.
I agree, man.
NHL warm up, you don't wear it out there.
I
Guys were like,
remember-
I don't want to piss people off. I'm like,
There's a
you're not
question
pissing
then.
people off.
Would there be a GoFundMe from Leaf Nation for Minton to skate around with the
That
bucket
would
tonight?
be good. It probably wouldn't get the same attention, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see Mitten. I'd like to maybe Nyes, maybe Joseph Wall, who's technically still a rookie, just a lap. He's backing up tonight. He could pull a noodles,
Chip
get out
in,
there, and
$7,500
bomb
bucks.
around.
We'll find the the fan base will find the money for these guys to experience that once if they want to.
If
We're
they
not
want
forcing them
to.
out
No,
there.
exactly. No peer pressure. We're just
Wouldn't that
saying
be
it
kinda
could be on the
neat?
table.
So
for
what
you.
is the rule? You have like anyone that's a rookie this year, is it starting this year that you
Yeah,
can't?
I believe it's grandfathered in.
Right.
Like that's what they did with visors. They did that with helmets. Like generally it's grandfathered in, which I find hilarious. Like the guy who's been in the league, he's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I've never done it. It's superstitious. I'm not doing. A lot of teams
Yeah, they have a
mandate you
rule.
have to
Yeah,
wear it.
I
I
mean-
believe the Leafs have them. I don't know if they do anymore.
But Taylor Hall got his head skated over.
Yes.
In Columbus that night.
Which
that was
is really
very scary.
scary stuff,
I
For
was
sure.
in warm up one time. Pierre Turgeon got a shot off the crossbar and it broke his cheekbone.
I remember
we lost
seeing
it.
that
You know who
in
shot
warm-up.
that? Travis Green. Greeny shot that.
Just square, and he was
Well, no,
probably
he
going
was
post
turning
down.
one way. He was to turn the other. So you're shooting cross body, so it deflected this way. And Turge skated into it. And,
He wore a visor too, though, didn't he?
yeah, but I don't think there was a bucket involved.
Probably no helmet, but maybe if he's got his visor tucked up, it happens anyway.
Yeah. It
I
would
don't
have.
know, but
I just, you know.
yeah, I remember vividly as a kid walking into the gardens, and you'd see like through the, like if you got there in warm up, and I think everyone can remember this because remember you'd up the stairs going into the golds.
Yeah.
You see guys bombing around, no buckets.
Just salads
Like not
everywhere.
one guy had a helmet on in warm up.
No.
It was the greatest
I
thing
know.
ever. Greatest thing ever. You get to your seats, you're like, there they are. They're out there. The great music was playing.
Did
The
I-
organ was going.
Did I afraid he wear a bucket near the end in warm
He
up?
may have actually.
Like if you have
he might have in
you have a
warm-up.
tough salad, you put a helmet on.
Possibly. But if you get a great one like Dougie Gilmore in 93,
Oh.
Dougie was not wearing a helmet.
Yeah,
No chance.
I'm in between.
No
the
chance in
benches.
warm-up.
I enjoy like warm up is nowadays it's buddy. There's conversations, it stretches and all of that, which is fine. But I still like the atmosphere of warm up, the music in the background. Like you can see there's a buzz in the building. Like you can feel it from the crowd coming in. Depending on who the opponent is, you know.
Like
I always
tonight,
thought,
you'll
I
feel
always
it.
thought warm up in Montreal was juiced up more than any place in the league. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
that league's got it, or
Because
that
it seemed like the building was packed and it was, I don't know.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Toronto, but
No, no, no.
Montreal warm up, it had a juiced up
Bell
feeling.
For me, it
Center.
was MSG. I come out.
MSG had a juiced
like
up-
that. You felt like the crowd was on top of you. It was vocal. Music was, that sound system there. That's a all world.
I'll
right?
bet you Vegas has thrown their hat into the ring now.
Oh,
I'll bet you a warm up in Vegas is because I thought that pregame last night was very
there was your buddy, dude.
Vegas, of course, right out there, right in the middle of everything. But I got to give them credit. Since day one, they've done it bigger, bolder, cheesier at times, cornier at times, louder at times.
Dude, just sum it up in one word. Better.
Everything's Vegas.
Better.
Yeah, but it just it like that team and the way that they do their game ops in Vegas, it personifies Vegas.
Well,
You know, it's over the top.
yeah.
It's
No apologies though.
no, it's obnoxious. It's
I loved it.
ridiculous, but it was
Dude,
really,
even that
really
banner,
cool.
I think's a little bit better than everyone else's
Yeah.
banner.
I got to give them full credit. I mean, I was on record. We were doing this show years ago. I was like, I don't like it. I don't want to see them in Vegas. I don't know if it's going to work. It has been
Fast
it's
forward.
been a grand slam.
But think about it. Fast forward to those conversations we had. There was no gambling on sports. Like the gambling had not really come in.
No, they were anti-gambling.
Exactly.
At that point.
Like wasn't it Bill Daly or was it
Yeah,
Bill Daly?
and Bettman. I hit back at both those guys.
You had a
Different
nerve
times.
with one of them. I can't remember who it was.
I think it was Bill the first time. But I think the second time when we had Gary on, they got into
their
bed
hat-
with
yeah,
gambling.
yeah,
So I was
exactly.
kind of like, why were you fighting it for so long?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're all good.
Yeah.
We had a
Well,
little back
he didn't
and
like
forth.
that. He
I
didn't
don't think
like
he
that.
liked that much.
Well,
That's
either
all
way,
right. But hey, it's here now. And speaking of which, we were talking about this off the air. I'll do this once. I don't have to do it all year. I saw Jay Woodcroft, who we like,
yeah.
head coach
Friend
of the Oilers,
show.
friend of the show.
Yeah.
He's not alone. They all do this. But the Oilers are playing tonight against Vancouver, and there's been a big conversation in Edmonton. Who's going to start tonight? Is it Campbell, who's had a great preseason?
Yeah.
He's got the big contract, but had a down year last year. Or Stuart Skinner, who effectively came out of nowhere last year, not within the organization,
Drafted,
but
developed,
publicly,
yeah.
and had a great year and was starting playoff games and was the man. And I guess today at the pregame, Campbell got off the ice first, which would suggest he starts tonight. Naturally, the media is like, all right, so Campbell's starting, and Woodcroft goes, you'll find out when the game starts
So it's
tonight.
like playoff mentality.
So
game one.
ridiculous. Like, it's so stupid. And again,
Well, are you talking from like the gambling perspective?
in large part, yes. This is where I'm not joking around. This is where the league should mandate. You have to make an announcement that, like, it makes a big difference who's starting tonight. Plus, they're in bed with fantasy and stuff. Is Campbell starting? Is Skinner starting tonight? That kind of stuff. I know the average fan probably doesn't care, but people that gamble on these games do.
I just don't see why they.
And what's
think
the
it's a
advantage?
difference. Yeah,
It's game one of 82.
We were
any
talking
game.
about
They
it.
know the goalies.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
goalies know the players.
I think
It's so
Vancouver's
dumb.
like, oh, we're screwed now. Our game plan's totally
But
out the window.
The game plan isn't going to change much at all. They know both goaltenders. There's a book on them, and the goaltender coach or the pre-scout, whoever does it with the guys, will go, okay, this is this guy's weaknesses. This is this guy's weaknesses. And I was telling you guys off air, the one thing that would maybe change the game plan slightly would be off the forecheck if one of the goaltenders was elite at handling the puck. Then you dump the puck differently. Mike Smith was an elite puck handler.
Sure.
So you okay, keep it away from this guy because he'll exit the zone.
Yeah, but that's a
everyone
comment before you're going out for the
Exactly. Like,
game.
it's just-
not like
it's
anyone's
an adjustment.
totally
Like,
changing
that's-
the
I
game.
know. But
I agree. Like
it's still it's just silly. Like, it doesn't matter that much. And I don't believe for a second Rick Tocchet now is scrambling.
No.
And it might partially be to cool people off in Edmonton because we had Struddy on last week and he said this is a big conversation. Who's going to be the number
Well,
one?
it is.
Right. And I think Ken Holland was speaking today and said, obviously this is an issue for the fans. We have 82 games. Both guys are going to play a lot of games, but it's the season opener tonight.
Right.
Like, it's game number one. And you've obviously made up your mind. You know who's starting.
Right.
If it's Cam, we'll just say it's Jack Campbell. Get it over with. Let's see
Well,
what he's got tonight.
Here's the other thing.
Move
too.
on.
You could go, okay, Campbell's starting game one, Skinner starting game two on home ice.
And then we go from there.
And that's how we're going to go. Like,
Exactly.
That's
he had
what
a
I
great
would
camp.
do.
He deserves it. There
Yeah.
you go.
So, and you want a guy to feel like if you're looking at like starts, I'd rather have the home start. That kind of, for me personally, you get a little bit extra juice at home. This is it'll be a tough road start for the Oilers because Vancouver's going to want to hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
So, it's good for Campbell, but I would only have a conversation if Campbell goes back on Saturday and they double down with him. Then you're going, okay. Because to me, I think they should start both of them and rotate. Be different here in Toronto. The expected guy
Samsonov's
to
a
play,
guy. Like, we know
the
that.
expected guy to play 2-3 in a row is Samsonov.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a conversation if they go, okay, tonight is Samsonov. When do they play? Saturday too?
Yes.
So Saturday, Wall.
Right. Well, and in Edmonton, I would think they're invested in getting Jack Campbell going again.
Sure.
Right? Like, they gave him a lot of money and a lot of commitment, and they need him to get back into a position where he is playing well. So that's another part of the strategy possibly as well. You had a good camp. You're still our guy. You're getting game one.
Yeah.
Skinner's the kid.
And
You
they're
ready
both
to
their
go game two?
goalies. We talked about it all playoffs. I think you can win the Stanley Cup pulling your goalie maybe a couple times, but when you're doing it 7 times, taking him out of the net,
No
Can't
chance.
do it.
I don't know if you have a chance to win,
No.
man. You
No
can't.
chance.
You're not winning.
They need
No
stability in that position this year.
And
Stability.
they probably like both their guys' noodles, but I don't know if they love either one of them right, now.
Same thing here in Toronto.
Yes, yes.
You
Well,
got to have stability in net. You have to.
if you look at it, Samsonov is the clear-cut number one, but it's not like he has a track record of 500 games in the league. This will be his first year as the standalone guy, technically, because Wall has, 11 games total in his career. But, that's the beauty of this when we're talking about yesterday's. Martin Jones is pretty close by. They didn't lose they didn't lose an experienced goaltender yesterday. So you've got 3 guys. You got to feel good about that depth. It's Samsonov's net to lose, but I think there'll be a healthier competition than we think. I think Wall's going to push for some minutes there.
Yeah,
I've
been saying that for a while now.
Yep.
I think that would be a really cool story. And that's what sticks out as we go into the game tonight, the new season. And I was looking at a lot of people detailing how different the opening lineup is tonight compared to last year, and it is substantial. Like, remember at the deadline they acquired basically 6 new guys.
Yeah.
The same thing, like Bertuzzi, Domi, Nyes, Fraser Mitten, Noah Gregor, Ryan Reeves, McCabe, Klingberg, Wall backing up, Samsonov starting. None of that happened this time last year. Murray started game 1. Obviously, McCabe and Klingberg weren't here. None of those forwards were here. Like, it's a big turnover. Yet, the main pieces have stuck around. It's still the Matthews show, the Marner show, Nylander, Tavares, Riley, etc. So I think with names like Bertuzzi, with Domi, Reeves, I'll tell you what, if Reeves fights Jack-Eye tonight, that place will go crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen because Jack-Eye's coming off shoulder surgery, I believe.
That'd be stupid for him to do.
Yeah, I don't think Jack-Eye's in a position where he probably feels like he's at 100% to do that.
Yeah,
and I don't. It's not premeditated. There's no history between the two that I'm aware of.
Right.
But I could see Reeves wanting to get off to a start like that. Home opener against Montreal. You only play Montreal at home once.
Either that or just completely steamroll guys on the forecheck.
Yes.
Yeah.
People will love it. Domi, too.
Yes.
Which is weird, though. You said that to me yesterday. They only play Montreal tonight here at home.
Yes.
That's
they got
it.
2 games at the Bell Center later in the year.
I don't know.
They can go ahead and switch that up, by the way. I
like
think
to
since I
see-
started working here, it's always Montreal. Get the Rangers in here opening night or something. Just freshen
I
it
don't
up.
mind
been doing it
Montreal,
forever.
but
They
I
used to do
just
Ottawa.
like to see
They
Montreal
used to-
more. Like
I agree.
I get it,
Like,
but
I'd like-
freshen up opening night. Start on the road, New York Rangers at Madison Square. Like, I don't know.
I want to see.
It's the TV network that's making
But
that
also
call.
Montreal, Toronto, regardless, I've said this before, wherever Montreal or Toronto is in the standings, it's always a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams get up for it. I think we are going to see, I was asked this question yesterday, and I said yes. I think we are going to see, maybe the Battle of Ontario fire up again, too, if Ottawa.
I hope so.
So I'd like
I think
to
that'd
see
be
these
outstanding.
things. This
And
is
if you're
good.
doing
It's on
your-
Ottawa to do
whatever
that.
you're doing for your FanDuel bets, or
Yeah.
if you don't have Josh Anderson goal tonight, you're
He does score all the time
Dude,
against the
all
Leafs.
the time in
Yeah.
that building. If you don't have a Josh Anderson anytime goal tonight, you're crazy.
Add it to the list, Grappler. That's a great thought.
It is.
Because you're right. He scores
Every
every
game.
single
He
time.
Every
scored
game.
last game, right? Like 5 seconds
Yeah,
left
right
of
off the
in
time.
bat.
preseason.
He never doesn't score at Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
I think he's from Oshawa or something. He's a greater Toronto area guy. Loves scoring
He
Love.
does.
against the Leafs.
Yeah, he loves that.
Loves it.
Well, we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, we will. We got a game tonight. And when the Leafs score, it's going to be a bit of a different vibe down at Scotiabank. We'll tell you why. We'll get to that next. All right, soak this in. You're not going to hear it anymore. One of the goofier topics in Maple Leaf history. The amount of attention that was directed towards the goal song the last 3 or 4 years. The amount of people with heated debates.
I think I'm the only guy that liked it.
I was really
I like
not,
calling oaths.
I didn't mind it. I didn't
No, it
love it.
seemed
I didn't
like
hate
whenever
it. It
they
was like, yeah,
scored,
fine.
everybody was like, bow, 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 bow.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad.
But then you look on Twitter, it's like this stupid goal.
Oh,
It's all
man.
that goes back to the complaining element. Where it's
Exactly.
like, I just saw a great game. It was 5-1. I heard the song 5 times, but I hate the song. It's
I
like,
know.
come on.
OT winner, this thing goes off.
Yeah.
They're
not
ruining
allowed-
my
Can't
night.
believe they had an OT winner.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like something that was so silly. And with music in particular, everyone has a different taste. It's not possible to make everybody happy when it comes to a musical decision.
But
Right.
you're also, I've told you this, and you guys all agree, you can't stop people from complaining about
No,
this garbage.
because the next wave will be a
There'll
complaint.
there'll
Because
always be a complaint.
yeah, the Leafs are confirming that this is over. And I guess was it Bieber that posted something? Bieber almost posted something on Instagram about looking forward to hearing Hall & Oates tonight. Basically, as a tease that something was coming, that they were going to likely change it.
Well, his songs will be in there. Somewhere,
Yeah, well,
right?
that's it. And I guess what they're going to do is now have a collection of songs based on if it's an original 6 matchup. So tonight, the Next Generation game, a Throwback Thursday. I don't know. I mean, so they're just basically going to mix it up. They're not going to have one song. And
I like one song because you identify with it.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Chicago is
Dude, there's one better. If you ever go to MSG and see a goal at MSG and see everyone freaking out and they start playing that song and they start yelling, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
You're like, this is an atmosphere.
That's what should happen here.
Right.
For anyone that doesn't like the goal song, how about 19,000 people collectively sing something?
Yeah.
Or cheers something. Whenever there's a goal, start a Go Leafs Go chant. Or whatever it is to drown out whatever song you maybe don't like.
Chicago has that like
it's Chelsea something,
Chelsea
isn't it?
Piers, isn't it?
Yeah, Chelsea Dagger or something like that.
They rang up like 8 one night on us.
And it just kept going and
on
going.
On the plane afterwards, we were flying out, and I looked over at my goalie partner. Said, "How you doing?" He just started singing the song. He's like, da, 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 da. I was like, my God.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Couldn't get out of that building fast enough. But that's, you identify with it. Like I actually like that where you've got one song and the fans get behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This just doesn't seem to be the song that fits the fan.
That one didn't fit. Hall & Oates doesn't really have a connection to Toronto. I don't know if it needs to be a Canadian band, a Toronto band. Thing is, I don't know how, you're never going to get it right because there's no history behind it now. You're trying to establish something new. So if you try to establish, like Hall & Oates, if they kept doing this for 20 years, I bet you in 20 years people would just
that's the Leafs
accept
song.
it because that's just what it is. It's just a part of the background. But because it was something that they tried relatively recently, I guess, people had a different opinion on it, and people kept hammering home why they didn't like it and why they wanted it changed. Well, now you got it. Now things are going to change down there.
Wow.
And we'll see what they end up bringing to the table. But
you imagine if it was just like the exact opposite. It's like Kenny Rogers, the gambler, or something, like just something that just
slow
doesn't
it right
fit.
down.
Like doesn't
slow
fit.
it right down.
Matthews
Goodbye
like
horses. Goodbye horses.
Matthews one-time shelf, and then all of a sudden, like, woo, the Goodbye Horses.
Play
comes
some
up.
Goodbye Horses for us, JP. This is what's coming tonight. You want to
That's what we're
change?
pushing
I
for.
actually think part of the problem was that they've just scored a bunch of goals in the last several years, and it's just there's been a lot of
It's
it.
constant.
Sure.
And that's why it's got people
300
attention. If
times or
these were the low-scoring New York Islanders, they'd be like, what is our goal score?
Right. You scored 2 a night tops.
But Matthews ripped home 60 a couple of years ago, and they're like, this again?
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I'll take a Goodbye Horses.
Do we have that,
That's
JP?
my vote for that.
Okay, let me set this up. Matthews scores 61.
Yeah.
Right? His 61st goal of the season. He's on pace for the Hart. It's an OT winner, end of the season. Leafs are going to the playoffs. They win the President's Trophy, and as they're skating off, this is what's playing. I love this idea.
I think this should be the song.
Creepiest song.
Everyone
of
in
all
the crowd's doing the dance.
time. Everyone's doing the dance.
The guys are skating around with their sticks up,
Yeah.
looking in the stands. And
We
there's
love you
like
guys.
Buffalo
Leafs
Bills
Nation,
standing out there.
you're the best fans in the world. Matthews scored 61. We're bringing the cup home this year,
And there's a guy staring
and
at
it's
you.
just Goodbye Horses playing. That's what you want? Goodbye Horses? I'm sure the Leafs can fire up some Goodbye Horses.
They
We'd
should.
support that.
I'm all over that.
For
That
sure.
would be hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, but I don't want to, read too much into this, but it feels like what the Leafs have been trying to do. And I don't think it was intentional originally because, again, Shanahan's been pretty open and honest about his intention to keep Kyle Dubas.
Right.
But once Dubas left and Treliving came in, a lot of the same pieces are still here, yet they're trying to supply a different flavor and a different feel to the team.
Yeah.
That's what I said the other day in the pre-season show. James said, "Do you think they're better?" And I said, "They're different, which can be better.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's going to be a different approach, a different price to pay. There's going to be a lot of things different, which ultimately could be better."
Yes. And again, the goal song has no effect on how the team's going to play, but it's still Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Riley, Keefe, Samsonov. But you got a new goal song, and Reeves might fight tonight, and Domi's going to have a big forecheck, and that place is going to be rocking.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting this was a part of some master plan, but I think it may have worked out that way. Because based on my interactions with Leaf fans, there seems to be a lot of excitement and a fresh feel. I don't know if it's because they won a series last year, and I know how they fell flat on their face in round 2. But they did technically do something different. Like they did actually win a round.
Dude, that's Leaf fans though. They end the season saying, "I'm done with this." You know how many people said, "I'm done with it"? Like one of my best friends, he says every year when they've lost, I'm so done with this. I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
A month before the season, same text every time. I'm fired up for the season.
I know, I can't wait.
like the changes. I think they're going to be better. I'm back in.
Okay.
Everyone's the same.
You're right, because I guarantee you the guy working the cameras, Joe from the Bridge, if you went and checked his text chain with his buddies when they lost to Florida,
he's more excited than ever
compared to where they are right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm done with these guys, had enough, got to break the core up, fire everyone, do all of this. Core's back, everyone, like everything, fired up.
Well, and that's why
thing.
the least, it's been an ongoing, consistent way of operating because they know the building's still going to be sold out. They know the jerseys are going to be sold, the ratings are going to be high, and excitement's going to be there. Yeah. And that's, I've always said they're very lucky to have the fan base they have. And it's not that they mistreat them, but they have not reciprocated in terms of success.
Right.
It has not been reciprocated. We asked Matthews that yesterday, like all the confidence that this franchise has supplied to you and Marner and the rest. And he said, obviously, we love that. We appreciate it. Now it's our turn to reciprocate that. He understands it. They all understand that. They're all getting paid a fortune.
Yeah.
They're all treated like gods, and they've got to pay back management, ownership, but furthermore, the fan base.
Yeah.
Because these fans can consistently show up and support. Yes, they're going to be loud. Yes, they're going to be emotional. They have the right to. That's the beauty of sports. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
But you get back to October 11th, 2023, Habs in town tonight. That building will be packed, and people. I've already had 3 or 4 people texting me. Going down to the game, it's going to be, of course. Of course, you're going down. And it'll be awesome. It's a lifestyle. If you're a Leaf fan, it's a lifestyle.
It is, and you're in no matter what.
You're in.
We were so close to having a great weather, and it just kind of
just right before puck drop.
2 days, right? Like it just, but it's fine. I'll take this instead of snow or something else. Like, but this will be, last night you got your whistle wet a little bit. Like tonight's full on. 7 Canadian teams. Like I feel like the season started tonight, even though last night it started.
Right. It's an appetizer last night. Jerry Johansson.
Early bird special. This was
he got my attention a couple of times.
That one short side, he had the scarecrow going.
Terrible.
Yes. But they won the game. Tampa won the game.
But Tampa, Nashville, I didn't think had a great game, but they did push. And, Tampa found a way. It's one game. Are we going to have, I'll ask you both this, are we going to have overreaction Thursday tomorrow? Good or bad?
Generally, it doesn't happen. The following Thursday, if things continue, then it happens a week into it.
I think on an individual basis, that's likely to happen.
Well, we do
that every game anyway.
Right,
okay,
exactly.
Let me ask you this. Calgary's hosting Winnipeg. If Calgary loses tonight, Markstrom doesn't look great. Overreaction Thursday.
I don't know. I think I'd separate overreaction from continuation Thursday.
Okay, so continuation.
Right? Like Markstrom's an example. He had a really awful season last year.
Yeah.
If he stinks again tonight, you're like, man. Like,
look at
doesn't mean he's going to have an awful year.
Pittsburgh Penguins. Their season ended losing to Chicago last year and started last night losing to Chicago again. They've got to be going into the locker room saying, guys, are we really going to be doing this nonsense?
Right.
Pittsburgh looked pretty good yesterday. I thought Mrazek played really well.
He did.
He did.
I thought as the game went on, though, they slowed down a little. I didn't think Karlsson really brought much.
One really high quality chance, and Mrazek ripped it out of the air.
It's early. That's one game for him.
It was kind of a moldy goal. It was a shot towards the net, hits a skate, goes back door, and that's how Chicago gets the game winner there. That was the 3-2 goal, was a shot towards the net that actually changed directions and went straight to the back door. Like, it was, Chicago hung around, but Pittsburgh, I thought, generated a lot of quality looks. Sid had a breakaway. Gensel was in twice alone. He couldn't find the net. Like, they had some chances. They didn't bury him. Chicago hung around and beat him. But that's, like, tomorrow we might be talking about, okay, so say Leafs win or lose, like, is it going to be bigger than really just one game?
Well, it's possible because of the excitement, right? The first game always stands out. It always does. Once you get into game 3, 4, 5, they all start bleeding in together.
Yeah, and just a little bit of a warning, if you've followed hockey for any amount of time, first games are generally not like masterpieces.
Right. I'm expecting some sloppy play tonight for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't see Dubas last night. I didn't catch the whole game. But I can't imagine on ESPN they care much about showing the GM. But I'm curious, if it carries over with the shots of Tree Living now that he's the GM of the Leafs.
Dude, of course.
I don't know. Like Dubas had, because it was his contract year, there was so much focus on that. He really animated at times.
Well,
like he was having meltdown. He was trying to fight people in Tampa.
I don't think you'll see Tree as animated as Kyle.
Right.
But they're still going to pan. They've been panning to the GM ever since.
Yeah, like
I've
Burke
watched
was
the-
big.
yes.
Burke was a big
But
guy that used to pan.
that's
on.
the production value. That's the Franklins and guys.
Ever
like that.
since I was a kid
Follow
watching
the
Maple
GM.
Leafs, they'd always pan to somebody. They're panning to somebody.
Yeah, they're going to pan. There'll be some panning.
Okay, so
tonight.
who's getting panned the most tonight? Is it going to be Tree Living? Is it going to be Ty Domi? Is it going to be
Ty? If Ty will be in the building, of course, he
he
will. I would assume he's interviewed tonight. I would think he gets an interview.
Is that a FanDuel bet?
Yeah, what's the FanDuel odds on an interview, in-game interview tonight? I would not be surprised.
But like, there's going to be like, I'm
Unless he
trying to
turns it
think.
down and goes, I just want to watch the game. But,
Production value. Will the tanning bed king be behind the net?
it's possible. I mean, he gets shots just based on, panning to the
that's
bench.
his-
I don't
his
think you can.
seats.
No, I know. So I don't think you can include him because Keith's going to get a lot of shots. The bench will get a lot of shots.
Yeah.
I would say between Ty,
Tree
Living, Fraser Minton's parents, if they're in attendance.
They'll be here for sure.
I'm assuming they're here.
there's
And if
a lot
they
of people
are,
here.
the cameras will find them. That'll be high on the list.
Who
I don't know.
else?
Like, I'm not sure who else, like in the crowd, unless there's celebrities there, which I'm not sure. Is Bieber in town? Drake's in town. I don't think he'll be down at the game, but you never know.
Mike Myers, somebody like that.
I haven't seen Mike Myers in Toronto in a while. Usually he just goes and sees them when they play the Islanders or the Rangers.
Will
I
Arnett.
think he lives in New York. Yeah.
Guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But that is all.
There'll be some panning tonight.
Honestly, it is all because the people in the truck are like, cut to him.
Yeah.
Cut to him.
But
Like,
it makes
it's
for
not-
good TV. Like it does if you get a reaction.
I
That's great
always like
TV.
seeing- yeah.
It's great TV. Like when Dubas was snapping. Remember Pierre Dorian throwing that water bottle? That was perfect TV.
Damn right.
That's a
I'll go a
great.
step
That's an
further.
Emmy-worthy shot.
Wasn't there, during the bubble, wasn't Pierre Dorian behind Carey Price or something, just standing there? Like,
I
there
can't
was
remember
no crowd,
that.
but he was just Pierre Dorian, like standing there, like behind the goalie. I swear there was like some sort
I
of
don't remember
one,
that,
too.
but
I can't. I've got to find it in my. I will recall when it was, but like Pierre tries not to be visible, but the throwing the water bottle, and
Mm-hmm.
I swear there was one where he was like down, because sometimes I think Shanny will like wander the building.
yeah, he does the
Sometimes see him
Messiah
down,
thing. Like he'll
you'll
go
see-
kind of hang out
but
down
I
below.
swear, because there was nobody in the stands, it was Pierre Dorian. It was like Carey Price in net, and then Pierre Dorian just standing there behind the net, which was like a weird look. you know?
Well, especially in an empty building,
Yeah,
right? Like you'd stick out that much more. The people that were actually allowed to get in there.
yeah.
Um,
So funny.
Yeah, so we'll try to track that tonight because I'm sure there will be a number of shots of the crowd that will throw not people off, but it will just be constant. It'll be constant.
Yeah,
And that's
it'll be
gonna
good.
happen.
I'm excited.
That's going to happen. Yeah. All right, Mike Johnson coming up in about 20 minutes. Jerry's percentages at 5:30. We got some props we want to get to. More likely to happens we're going to get to. A lot of things teeing up the game tonight. And Mark Shapiro hits the podium tomorrow morning. A lot of people curious what Mark has up his sleeve.
I'm actually fascinated for that.
I am. We'll come back. We'll discuss what we want to hear and what we expect to hear from Mark. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Wish we could get some FanDuel odds on Mark Shapiro, like how many words he's going to say tomorrow, how many times he's actually going to give a truthful answer.
Dude,
Like
I'll tell you
100%.
what, if we were talking about Ross Atkins and people were talking about what a leader would have done, he's above Ross. So I'm sure people are expecting him to clear the air on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You would think. Like, he better get it straight and get it right.
Well, this is what complicates. You guys have been in offices before, and like the PR staff, everyone comes together because Atkins spoke on Saturday, and the thing that everyone is sticking to is what he said about Berrios to Kikuchi. Everything else is irrelevant. No one's even
Right.
paying attention to it. It's the fact that he said that Schneider and Schneider alone, basically. And I was shocked.
He better clear that tomorrow. He better clear the air on that.
Right. But if you're Shapiro, here's where you're conflicted. Do you now sewer Atkins and say, actually,
we knew about it.
Everyone's in on this together, which means Atkins officially threw Schneider under the bus? Or do you continue with the Atkins narrative that that's all Schneider all the time? Like this, I guarantee you they're trying to figure that out right now. How do we answer that? Because people didn't like the answer they heard or didn't believe it in full. Again, I think Atkins was probably being truthful that he's not literally in the meetings. I don't think anyone's ever suggested he's walking up to Schneider saying, come over here. When he walks a guy, this is like, that's
but in organizations, there can be a mandate where it's like, if that analytics guy hands you a paper on a game plan, that's what's happening.
And that's what I think people are saying is the philosophy of the front office is this is what we do. And now you take it and you do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he's going to approach that. He will be asked about it, undoubtedly.
When's is he speaking Sunday at 1:30?
No, tomorrow morning he's speaking.
At like 4 a.m.? What?
Right after the game tonight. The Leafs will finish, and then Mark Shapiro steps up to the podium. Now, I think it's 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay, so that's a reasonable time for people to get in there.
Yeah.
It's not Saturday at 11 on a long weekend.
No, you can hear it right here on TSN Radio tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'd like to hear what he has to say, but he'll be coached up. The PR people will make sure that.
And this is not Mark's first rodeo.
Exactly.
Mark Shapiro is a really smart guy.
Yep.
He's a thoughtful guy. He's not nervous about anything or whatever. And I don't think anyone's looking at Shapiro suggesting that that's where any change needs to take place.
I know,
but
if
he's responsible for everything.
If he doesn't think that he needs to somehow smooth things over to some degree, he'd be crazy not to think that.
Well, he will be asked point blank, assess the job of Ross Atkins and explain why he's coming back for a 9th season.
Right.
I think that's just a clear-cut question.
Yeah.
Explain why you still have faith that going into season 9, Ross Atkins can get the job done here. And the job is to win a World Series. And even though you made the playoffs, we saw what happened. It never felt like a truly World Series competitive team all year. Explain what is going to be different between now and spring training. And I'm curious what kind of answer he has on that.
That's fair.
I don't know what kind of answer he'll give, but he's going to have one.
Yeah, he does. He's going to have. He'll be coached up. It'll be. Will he have hard questions, or is that just one question he's going to ask?
Well, I don't know because, again, he's a layer above. Like the way it works now with Shapiro, Shanahan, Masai, like they've built this protection where it's so easy for them to say, "Hey, I'm above that."
Yeah.
Like I'm not in the trenches. I got a suit on and I'm up top, hanging out with the owner.
You're still responsible for it.
Yeah, and I think you'd be naive, and I don't believe anyone really believes that those guys are not in the trenches making decisions.
Right.
No one thinks Masai Ujiri is not making the decision on Nick Nurse in his future. No one believes that Brendan Shanahan is not involved in a William Nylander contract negotiation. Of course he is.
Right.
He won't speak on it publicly. He'll leave it to Tree Living. The same thing with Shapiro. Shapiro was in the building. He was there. He wasn't at home watching with his feet up. He was there watching the ball games. He walked into the clubhouse with a backpack like Atkins did.
You imagine if he's just like, I was just as shocked too.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Like that's what's going to happen.
He might, though.
That's coming down the pike.
Because if he wants to protect Atkins, that's what he'll do. If you're in it, who are you in it to protect? Atkins? If so, you got to say, I was sitting beside him. I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah, we looked at each other.
That would be crazy, dude.
But he almost has to. Because if he comes out and goes, yeah, of course we knew it, then what? Then you got to basically fire Ross Atkins, like on the spot.
But it's just so not believable if he says, I was as shocked as Ross and we were all shocked. That would be crazy. That would light that press conference
I think
on fire.
He says that tomorrow. And not in those words, but that's the messaging I expect.
Yeah, we trust
John Schneider.
We trust our manager to make the call.
We hired John because he's the guy. He's the manager. He makes the calls. His meetings, not in there.
Boy,
I expect that to continue tomorrow.
Yeah, what if he's like, boy, I was surprised.
Shocked.
I really thought Berrios.
Haven't slept right in a week. Can't believe it. Berrios was so good. Man, was he electric.
Yeah.
Best I've ever seen him pitch. We handed him $130 million.
Yeah.
Best I've ever seen him pitch.
But if that's the case, then
Kikuchi
Schneider
going
gets
in.
fired. Like, I don't know.
And that's the conflict here is if you truly were shocked by that type of decision, how does John Schneider
Is that
explain
a fireable
himself?
offense?
Well,
I don't know.
I
For
mean-
World Series expectations, the way that they hit all year, the way it ended, the common themes that were brought up someone generally gets, and I don't like
the
seeing
hitting
people
coach.
getting
That's
fired.
what it is.
No, I know.
We don't
But
want
somebody
anybody to
gets-
get
it's
fired.
It's just the nature of sports and the way it generally, works. And someone's going to fall on the sword here. Right? I think it'll be the hitting coach in the end. I think that's probably to be expected.
Yeah.
But also, Atkins has already announced publicly that Schneider's coming back. So I would guess Shapiro probably addresses that quickly. Atkins coming back, Schneider coming back, everything else on the table for what we do in the future.
Yeah,
Right?
Fair.
And at some point, he's going to try to sneak in some renovation talk, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear
No
it.
one.
Nobody. But if he veers off, that's a great question. But quickly, I want to mention this level 100.
No, he reaches under the desks and brings out the new seats. Check these babies out.
Vladdy Guerrero picked off at second. Good point. But look at what we have next
Look at this
year.
new chair that's going to be all over the stadium.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hour 2 coming up. Jerry's percentages at 5:30. Mike Johnson will join us as well. Leafs Habs tonight. We'll tee it up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.